I became interested in weather when it was as far back as I can remember. I wanted to know when it would snow, and there wasn't the information available to me like we have today. And so I started to learn some meteorology so that I could try and figure some of these things out for myself. What I didn't realize I was going to end up doing was stepping into broadcast meteorology. And that grew. I turned out to do a fairly decent job in television. We fast forward to the late 1970s, where I came across a meteorologist and a woodworker, a wood collector, I should say, who was sort of like my walking encyclopedia and really turned out to be my best friend. He started exposing me to all these beautiful tropical exotic woods, not only how well they finish, but their fragrance and their grain and their texture. And I think through that exposure, I became interested not only in the wood itself, but what could I possibly do with it. The way I come up with ideas more often than not actually begins with the wood that I have. I've got a lot of it that I've collected over decades, some of it I've inherited from my older friend, and I'll come downstairs into the shop and just sit and stare at the wood for a little while. My work usually begins with sort of a concept drawing. I'll then go to work on the piece, and I'll make jigs, I'll start cutting. Sometimes I'll sort of produce my own change order and change a design as I'm going along. My broadcast meteorology and woodworking was the ability to be innovative. We were forced, in order to be competitive, to be innovative, to invent and create new ways of doing things. And it's really interesting how that segued over into my woodworking. I'm constantly having to challenge myself. Sometimes my ideas for design or concepts exceed my skills. And so I've got to step up to the plate, move out of my comfort zone, and try and do things that I've never done before. The weather is very irregular, and it's not consistent. It's always changing. Wood is the same way, not only in its look, but in its behavior, the way it responds to changes in relative humidity. After you've worked on a piece and then you start sanding and putting a finish on it, like the real glory of the wood actually starts to come out. It's like, wow. So the whole process is dynamic from the time that you begin working on a piece to the end product.